Hey everyone, this is Davo here with a video on how to run Amazon Linux 2 from Windows via Windows Subsystem for Linux, and I'm also going to be showing you how to set it up so it becomes a suitable development environment for you DevOps engineers out there that would like to emulate your production workloads running Amazon Linux 2 locally. So if you head over to the Microsoft Store, which is where you would normally download any Linux distribution you would like for WSL, you'll notice for obvious reasons Amazon Linux 2 is not there. So what you'll want to do is head over to Yoska-Dev's Amazon WSL GitHub project. Link is in the description. Shout out to him. You'll want to download the latest version and unzip it on your machine. So right now, all you got to do is run amazon2.exe. This is going to go ahead and install and register Amazon Linux 2 against WSL. You can validate this by running WSL-L, and right now my default distribution is a Docker instance. So I'm going to go ahead and change that with a -s flag, set that to Amazon 2. We can verify that real quick, and that will allow me to run the WSL command by itself, and it's going to put me into Amazon Linux 2. Now, unless you've set WSL to use a version 2 as the default version, Amazon 2 is going to show up as a version 1, so we're going to have to upgrade it real quick. We just use the --set -version command or flag, and we just tell it to upgrade Amazon 2 to version 2. It's going to take a few seconds, but after a while, we'll be able to validate that version 2 has been actually installed. So back on my Amazon Linux 2 instance, the first thing I'm going to do is do a yum upgrade and a yum update. This is going to update all the existing packages, and because this is a brand new installation, there's not a lot of stuff going on, so it's a fairly straightforward process, very quick as well. And I'm also going to be installing a kernel-ng utility from Amazon Linux Utilities, or Amazon Linux Extras, I should say. And this is going to add a bunch of core packages, libraries, and tools to my operating system. And finally, I'm also going to be adding some of the tools that I use on a regular basis: sudo awcli, OpenSSH, Git, Zshell, and the password utility. This is going to let me create users as well as changing the default shell for the user, setting up a new password, creating private keys, and so on, which we'll be doing shortly. So let's go ahead and create a new user. I'm just going to call it Davo. I'm going to set up the password for this user. I'm just going to make it easy for me to remember. And I'm also going to be adding my new user to the sudoers file. And I'm actually going to be doing something here which you should not do on any environment, but this is my protected local machine, so I'm actually going to set a no password flag for that, so I can do sudo with no password required, and I'm going to change the default shell for my new user Davo. I kind of forgot the S flag right there. And I'm also going to install on my Zshell, which is a theme manager for your shell. It makes it a lot easier to work with on the command line. By default, it comes with a theme called Robbie Russell, and I'm going to go ahead and change that to one of my favorite themes, to not do right there. And this is just going to change the way your shell looks. You'll be able to identify what branch you're on if you're using Git, if there's been changes being staged and whatnot. And there's a bunch of other themes available as well. You can visit their link in the description to see which one you like the most. Back on my terminal here, I'm gonna create a private key for my Davo user, which I'm gonna be using to post or publish on my GitHub account so that I can actually authenticate without a password. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm on Git now. This is a brand new account that I just created. I'm going to go ahead to the SSH and GPG section. I'm going to create a brand new key, and I'm going to paste the public key that we just created. Next up, I'm going to create a brand new repository on Git. I'm going to call it DevOps Setup. I'm going to make it public, and I'm going to have a README file in there. This is a brand new repository. There's nothing in there, so let's go ahead and test out my private key. I'm going to use SSH. Yep, copy that. Switch over to my terminal here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a git config global user email, and also git config global username. I'm also going to make a directory for my for Git purposes, or where I would store my code in here. And to actually get the repository that we created, which is, if you recall, public, I can do a git clone of that. And if I were to make a change to the README file in there, let's add a quick test right here. You'll notice that my Z shell is actually telling me that there's been changes that have now been staged for commit. And let's git status. It's going to show me that file. So let's go git add, git commit my first commit, and let's go ahead and push that. And this is going to use those private keys, that private key that we created before, and publish that to my Git project. If you go back to Git, we'll be able to refresh and effectively see that change there now. I've gone ahead and published a script that will actually execute all of these steps that we just ran through automatically for you. It's on the description of the video as well. And at this point, you can continue to customize the environment as you see fit.